If you're not in control of your emotion, if you're not in control of, how you react to things, then they have control over you.
Thing that I've grown up and I've seen men in my family who have been physically violent. I've seen women in my family, such as my mother, who have succumbed to physical violence.
I got to get this out. You know what I'm saying? I don't know who to
Yep.
get this out to, but I got to get this out. You want to go to the gym?
When it's trouble, when it's smoke in paradise, you know, not being able to open up to somebody else that may have that wisdom is something that I've struggled with. It's something I do struggle with.
Welcome to another episode of A Word to Be Heard. I'm your host, Mario Johnson. And today I asked one of my really good friends to come on the show because whenever he and I link up, it's always something epic. We get deep. We've helped each other through a lot of hard times mentally, dealing with some things personal. And, he hit me up and was like, yo, we need to talk. We need to talk and I need you to come on my show. So he agreed to it. And I'm very blessed to not only be able to call him my brother, but to have him in my presence right now to share some of these good wisdom and good knowledge. So I want to welcome my brother to the show, Miss Amori Newell. Welcome, bro. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing awesome, man. Phenomenal. Thank you for having me, man.
Good, good, good. Thanks for coming on, bro. I know it was I kind of hit you with the okey doke. I haven't told you exactly what we're gonna be talking about. You just told me, hey, man, we need to talk. Yeah, we do need to
Mhm.
talk. But what I want to do is I want to have an opportunity for us to, really kind of open up, and let people in unscripted uh, into the mind of, how we deal with situations, how men really have to handle the stress that the world throws at us, on a constant basis. It's not like, we just grunt, go do a couple of push-ups and continue on what we're doing. We have to find releases. We have to find ways to, not necessarily bear that weight, but to allow it to come off of us in a healthy
Mhm.
manner, so that it doesn't affect us from a mental standpoint, from a health perspective, because stress really weighs on you health wise, and
Mhm.
also from a interactive standpoint in regards to the energy that we're putting out. Because when we're going through some things, people can feel it based on our energy. So that's why I wanted
Right.
to have you on. That's why I wanted to have this conversation with you, so that we can just kind of share it like we always do. Back when we was hitting the gym every day. As you can
Right.
tell, I
Right.
haven't been hitting the gym for a while. If you look at these little arms, but that's a sign that things been going great. And that's bad to say, but we always been the gym rat when we got a lot of stuff we got to get out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That tends to be a pretty popular outlet amongst men.
Yeah, yeah. So, like I said, bro, that's why I wanted to bring you on, and I hope you don't mind
Mhm.
sharing, what it is you want to talk about, and in a public space, because we here for each other. That's what we're here for. I kind of want
Right.
to bring the awareness and bring more attention to the fact that as men, even though society tells us we're supposed to be strong and supposed to just swallow things and just brush it off your shoulder, we still have to, we still
Hmm.
have things that eat at us. We have emotions, and I just saying that sounds
Right.
weird. Just saying we have emotions.
Having to acknowledge it. Right.
Yeah, yeah. And that's just based on what we're taught. It's not in a, uh, and I don't know the correct way to say this, but I'm just, it's not in a feminine way, saying that, we
Hmm.
have emotions, we have feelings, we have things that we need to get out too. That's in a human being kind of way. Every human goes through these types of
Right.
things. It's not isolated to one gender of human, which
Hmm.
I don't want to go down that whole gender road, but needless to say,
Hmm.
it's not only a woman can express herself emotionally. Men can too. We should. We're supposed to. It's an outlet. It's a release. Anyway, don't
Right.
let me take up all the time
I
talking because
mean,
I will.
I think you're hitting on a lot of key things already. Just
Mhm.
one, sharing. Me coming on the show, you asking me, if I feel comfortable sharing. That's probably one of the biggest things amongst men. I can say that personally is being able to share some of those struggles, being able to share some of those experiences, may often be attributed to a feminine like thing. So we keep stuff in. We don't share it with anybody initially.
Hmm.
Um, One of the things I talk about with my daughter oftentimes is, you know, you have me to utilize, you have my wisdom to utilize to help you get around some potholes. You're gonna go on your own journey, but hopefully you can utilize me as a resource to avoid some potholes along your journey.
Yeah.
And as men, when we don't share some of those experiences, of things, constructive things, because we always share the non-constructive things, the deconstructive things,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You get into a rut, man, I don't want to talk about it. I just want to go hang with my homeboy at the bar, put one in the air, and that is the coping mechanism, because we have this survival instinct,
Right.
based off of societal norms, where
Right.
we have to maintain, we got to keep going. I feel like I'm kind of a unicorn because I am a pretty expressive male when it comes to my feelings in some form or facet. But when it's trouble, when it's smoke in paradise, you know, not being able to open up to somebody else that may have that wisdom, it's something that I've struggled with. It's something I do struggle with.
Yeah.
So that's I think being able to have somebody to share that with is really important.
Yeah.
Really important.
Yeah. I agree, man. Wholeheartedly agree. When we first connected, we both were going through some things. It was amazing how the universe kind of sensed that we was having that same type of energy being put out. We were both dealing with some things mentally, um, and it brought us together. And it was like, hey, man, you know, I got to get this out. You know what I'm saying? I don't know who to
Yep.
get this out to, but I got to get this out. You want to go to the gym? And that's
Yeah.
kind of how it,
Yeah.
it kind of
Just
took
like that.
off. Yeah, and it's amazing to find out, that you're not alone in situations. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Yeah, because you're thinking. I had my brother call me yesterday, actually. You know, and he was in tears because he felt like he everybody was against him. He felt like he had
Hmm.
nobody to go, nobody to turn to. Now granted, I'm here. I'm right here. But,
Right.
you know, even as a brother, that's my blood brother. I grew up with him, have always had him up under me, have always brought him with me. We don't really have those deep conversations. So
Hmm.
I understood why he felt like, he had nobody that he can really talk to. And I was
Right.
like, I'm here, man. Like, I'm right here, but at the same time, like I said, I can relate to the fact that you really sometimes feel like it's just you. So when you actually do get to have those conversations, when you actually do get to talk to other men, and not in a, I don't want to talk bad about any counselors, but you don't have
Hmm.
to necessarily see a professional. You just need to get in a group of guys that's willing to have that conversation. For me,
Right.
that's the biggest thing. Just get in a group of guys, share your experiences.
Hmm.
It doesn't make you weak. It's not a sign of weakness. It actually allows you to grow. It actually allows you to get stronger because,
Growth.
yeah, like it for me, being able to talk to you, being able to talk to Tavis. Tavis was really big in helping me. Dr. Jones was really big in helping me at the time,
Hmm.
and to hear their stories, to hear them tell me, man, shoot, you'd be amazed at some of the things I went through, and they actually tell me some of the things that they went through. It's like, wow, it really puts it into a bigger perspective that you're not
Right.
struggling by yourself. You just gotta, you gotta go out there and talk to the people who are willing to talk to you and give you that encouragement.
Right.
Not necessarily any advice, but encouragement. Say, hey man, it's gonna get better. You know, it's just a storm, which we talk about all the time. You hear people say that cliche, the storm can only last but for so long before the sun comes back out. But it's actually true.
Right.
For a lot of people, it's hard to see that light at that tunnel because it's so dark. It's like, is there ever going to be a light? So,
Hmm.
that's why um, again, I can only stress, and I know I may sound repetitive, and I don't care. I may sound redundant, but I don't care. I can only stress that it's important to have that circle of guys that you can always call on. We don't have to talk every day. So when was the last time we talked,
Mm.
bro? To be honest, like it's been about a year, ain't it?
It's been a minute. It's been a
Yeah,
minute. Yeah.
yeah. But when you call me, it's like, yo, I drop everything. You know what I'm saying? Because that the time doesn't matter. It's almost as
Yeah.
if we were just going to the gym last week. It's like, yo, my brother needs me. I'm on it. No questions. What you got for me, bro?
Right.
Let's do it. That doesn't matter. And it's because of the fact that we was able to build that trust, build that foundation of knowing that I can count on you. I can tell you what I'm dealing with. And I know that you'll give me something that's going to help me. You're not just going to tell me, oh man, forget that. You ain't got to deal with that. You ain't got to put, no, man, that's not going to help me. Yeah,
Right.
if anything, you're making my situation worse because you're encouraging the I don't want to say the bad thoughts, but you're encouraging the negativity.
The non-productive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You're not giving me a solution that's actually going to benefit, that's going to make everything right. You're just telling me to run from the problem.
Right.
Yeah, so being able to talk to the people again like yourself that will always offer a solution. That's not going to say you need to leave. That's going to tell you, hey man, have you done everything humanly possible to make things right? And have you evaluated yourself? What are you
Hmm.
doing to add to what's going on? Listening, but also holding you accountable. That's priceless, man. You can't ask for nothing better than that, bro.
And that's probably the biggest reason. Another big reason why males don't engage in those relationships. I would say people in general. That's not even a male oriented thing, but
Mm-hmm.
accountability. Sometimes you even know what you need to hear. You just don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
And like you said, a real brother, a real friend, they, not necessarily in an aggressive way, but in a truthful way. They're gonna let you know if they have your best interest at heart or your best situation, or you as a friend and a brother. They're gonna tell you the stuff you probably don't want to hear. So I have avoided those those brothers I probably should be talking to at
Mm-hmm.
times.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I know I don't just do. I know a lot of brothers do.
Yeah.
You get missing, you get into your shell, and then you know that's when you have other serious issues that start happening, mental illness issues, psychological things that are plaguing you, and you still have to try to maintain that hard outer shell for whoever it is that you're providing for, or whatever your life dictates. But then you start getting into that depressive thing,
Mm-hmm.
because you're isolated. That's something that Dr. Jones talked about this Sunday morning. And I think that is something that is very, very normal, especially for Black men.
Yeah.
We get isolated, and that's something that when you have those relationships, when you form that band of brothers, having somebody, even though we haven't spoken in a while, like you said, for whatever reason, we be kind of in tune, so you can hear when something might be a little like you don't sound like yourself, or having people like that can kind of you know call you to the rug. That's important,
Yeah.
and that's accountability, and we run from that.
Oh man, we run from it big time, and it's mainly because of ego.
Yeah,
It's
pride.
ego. Yeah, that pride don't want to be told nothing other than you're right. That's all that pride want to hear.
Even
And
if you know you're dead wrong.
you're wrong.
Yeah,
Everything's telling you you're wrong. Everybody's telling you that you're wrong, but their pride is like, no, they're wrong.
right.
We know what's best. We know what's going on. But again, on the reverse side of that, sometimes it depends on who you're taking your counsel from, who you're taking those words of advice from. Because
Very true.
sometimes unfortunately, we kind of live in a world where people want to see you struggle. There's not a lot of people that actually want to see you do better, which is why you have to be
Hmm.
very selective about who you keep around you. That energy that you keep
Very
around
true.
you. You got to keep it positive. You got to keep it great when you're looking at giving up on something because you can't seemingly find a way to get it done. You'll know that when you tell this other person, they'll say, "Oh man, have you tried this?" They never even thought about it, and boom, just like that, you're getting it done.
Hmm.
So that's huge having those types of people. But what else been going on with you, man? Like we've been on the soapboxes here. I don't want to be on my soapbox for too long, man. Let's talk.
Man, a
I
lot of
mean,
changes. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of changes. Some really awesome ones. Some definitely challenging me as a man, a
Mm-hmm.
husband, a father. Um, on a light note, I have my 17-year-old daughter
Hey.
that is living with me full time. Um, we've I've been in the military. Her mother was in the military, so it's
Mm-hmm.
been a lot of back and forth. But for the most part, she's been with her mom, and
Yep.
she got to the age where she said, "Hey, I want to go be with pops," and that has been a very, very consuming thing as far as my life has been considered
Yeah.
lately. 17-year-old daughter, like, yeah, she growing me right now in ways that I don't even know, man. Like, I'm gonna catch up to you with that grade probably in the the next couple months or so, because boy, it's such a blessing, man. It is a
Yeah.
reward.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been really awesome.
How's that? What is that like? What is that experience like? I mean, all I did, I grew up with my sisters, but by the time they became teenagers, I was already out of the house. So, what is
Mm-hmm.
it like having literally like a semi-adult? You say she's 17, so and then experiencing her from a living together standpoint full time at that
Right,
age. How have
right,
you how's that mesh? How is that merge? How's that been going? What is that
man,
like, man?
man. It is it is more than interesting to say the least. Um, I have two other daughters
Mm-hmm.
that are about 10 and 11.
Mm-hmm.
I have an 11-year-old and one that'll be 10 in a couple of months. And even with my 17-year-old, I'm used to having the little girls.
Yeah.
I'm used to all the Disney stuff and, having all my nieces come over. They have little slumber parties and stuff, the girly girl stuff. But now I have a young woman. So, it's a totally different game in all aspects, and how I relate with her
Mm-hmm.
and how I communicate with her, and her establishing her own identity, in shopping for her and not shopping for her, just giving her the card so she can go do, the woman stuff. Is like all of that is like, whoa, man, like
Yeah.
driving the car, like, hold up, wait a minute, time out. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready.
Mm-hmm.
But it's enjoyable, man. It's like a relationship with an adult where you get to know each other because
Mm-hmm.
she's not, my little Nene. She hates it when I call her that. Her name is Destiny.
Oh
Um,
man.
she's not my little Nene anymore.
Yeah.
She's Desi. So it's like I'm learning this new individual that I gave birth to.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very interesting, especially if she hasn't been living with me. Now she's living with me. Living with me is not just, FaceTime.
Right,
It's
right.
real now.
Yeah. It's like it's full time
It's
now.
real.
So I'm gonna lean in and say this one. So have you had to deal with the boyfriends yet? Have you had the situations where you gotta flex up on anybody yet?
Man, look, I think there'll be another gun show coming around next month sometime. So I think I need to add to my arsenal a little bit. But no, she is a very unique individual, and she gets told this by everybody that she encounters.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very mature for her age. So she has a good head on her shoulders. At the same time, she is a 17-year-old.
Yeah.
So of course I have to be mindful and watchful of certain things, but for the most part, she know daddy a little crazy. So she don't want no smoke. She don't want nobody to
Hey,
have no smoke.
and believe me, if she don't know daddy's a little crazy, she gonna find out daddy's got some friends who's just as crazy
That
too.
that
So yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm
yeah.
talking. I need to get that, that bad boy scene.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
That
Yeah.
that's for real.
Like, who is you? Who is you? Nigga, you look 30.
That's for that's for real. Then the one movie that 50 Cent played in, I mean, was it Dinner
Oh, that
Thieves?
was good. Yeah, I remember that one. And they took him into
And
the
they all went in.
garage. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
That I
yeah.
believe in that stuff. I believe in
I
that.
believe, hey, look, I used to tell Duty, Jael, you remember, um,
Yeah.
when we was in Troy, I had bought,
Uh,
I got an AR-15. I had bought a 12 gauge. Now, mind you, she
uh,
was 5. Five. Yeah, I had about an AR-15. I had a 12 gauge. I had got a 40 cal, and I had got a 9 millimeter. And I let her know.
Okay.
So I'm gonna show you how to use these when you get up to a certain age, and just know that I know how to use them too. So,
Yeah.
and you need to make sure that everybody that you plan on dealing with understands that I know how to use
Hmm.
them. Yeah, and that, and
I'm a firm.
that I've seen some posts as of late where
Uh,
people talk about how, I guess that's supposed to be wrong and that's so cliche. How would you like it if someone did that to your son? To be honest with you, I would expect them to do it to him. You know what I'm saying? Because it, yes, I'm going to raise him to be respectable, respectful. I'm going to raise
mhm,
him to know exactly, once I have a son, I don't have a son yet, but once I do have a son, I'm going to respect him to know how to treat, a woman, how to treat a girl, from A to Z.
mhm.
So outside of that, I also want I put myself in the place of a father with a daughter,
Right.
So it's not a situation where, if it was your son, how would you feel about that? If it was my son, I'd ask him, I said, hey, did her dad have a talk with you?
Yes. Yes.
Without question. I said, and did he have, and when I say did he have a talk with you, I mean, did he have a talk with you about his daughter?
Right.
Not one of those, this is my daughter, I love her. Not one of those talks, but one of them that he scared the hell out of you talks to make
Yeah.
sure that you're gonna do what you're supposed to do. Because there's only so much I can do in raising him. I can lay the foundation. But at the end of the day,
Right.
he needs to know that nobody in this game is playing. Nobody. So
Hmm.
yeah, it,
It's it's
it's.
funny.
Go
It's
ahead.
funny that you say that because I, like you said, I'm a father of daughters, so quite naturally I feel that that's okay, that's in order. I'm not talking about waving and flagging no gun at
Right, of
nobody,
course. Right.
but like it needs to be very, very clear and understood that this young lady that you're dealing with, this is somebody's daughter, this is somebody's sister, and she has people in her life who care enough about her that if anything happens to her and she gets hurt, like brother, you're gonna have some consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And just like you said, I let my nephews and I let my cousins know the importance of not physically raising your hand and hitting a woman. The importance and the value, of not putting yourself in that situation for a few reasons. One, that's obviously something that you shouldn't be doing to a queen, somebody that you are taking charge or responsibility of, over, even if it's for a short period of time, for a date or whatever. But two, as a young man, especially if you're a black young man, don't get tricked up off the streets like that, off of not being able to control your emotions. That is one thing that I've grown up and I've seen men in my family who have been physically violent. I've seen women in my family, such as my mother, who have succumbed to physical violence. Um, like one, it's just horrendous. I couldn't imagine, being like that. But two, what I'm saying, now you playing right into the game. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
removing yourself from the situation entirely. So let's say you do have daughters, heaven forbid you putting your hands on a woman, but let's say you do have family members that you're securing, that you're taking care of.
Mm-hmm.
Not only did you violate somebody else, but now you played the game and you gave up your freedom, and the protection that you're supposed to be safeguarding, and the people in your life. So I'm like, bro, don't even play that game. I ain't trying to go to jail, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
for no female.
right. That whole give me a reason. They look
Right.
for a reason, and I hate to say it, and don't want to sound like I'm stereotyping, but when they come out, you're already at fault. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter,
Yeah.
and they're trying to make it so that, and I guess they're getting better at it. But as a man, how many people are going to sit there and honestly say, dude, she kicking my ass right now. Like, what you expect me to do? Like, no. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, you're supposed, like you said, you're supposed to be in control of your emotions, and you should have the know how to exit the
Yeah.
situation. So,
Yeah.
but that, to me, that's where it goes back to the having the group talks, having the circle.
Mhm.
Ensuring that you're engaging with other men who can allow you to have that release, that teach you how to make that, how to have that release.
right,
Be it
right.
at the
And
gym, be it in sports, be it anywhere, be it a hobby, something. You gotta be able to have that
mhm,
release. And if you're not in control of your emotion, if you're not in control of, how you react to things, then they have control over you.
somebody has a plan for you if you don't have a plan for yourself.
That's right.
And when I refer to, playing into their hands, I'm not even necessarily referring to the woman or the individual you may be dealing with, because it's a lot of situations to where, you know, she may not directly involve the law, but like you said, when they come, they, hey, bro, you already, you know what I'm saying? You playing into society's hands. You playing into that bigger agenda, to where you tricking yourself off the streets. You know, putting yourself involved, getting paperwork, anything like that whatsoever. You know, it's just, I'm kind of looking at the big picture, man. Like,
Mm-hmm.
boy, it's always a bigger picture, a bigger agenda, to where we get tricked out of being able to be the men that we supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we
Totally
have our
agree.
own flaws, but definitely,
Of course.
but
Of course.
we play into a lot of situations, and that whole, putting your hands on a woman. So yes, long story short, if you got a son and he's stepping on one of my daughters, you're gonna get that kind of conversation. Hey, I ain't gonna put my hands on him, but I'm gonna let him know. Hey,
Yeah.
we don't play that.
Yeah. You're gonna have to have that lean in talk. Look here, man. Let me tell you something.
Yeah,
When you had
like
that
you can
lean in
smell my breath
conversation.
type of
Right,
conversation. Like,
right. Like,
yeah,
I'm gonna tell you in the ear. I don't need everybody else to hear what we got going on right now. So I'm gonna tell you in the ear. Come in, let me talk
right,
to you for a second. Yeah, one of them situations.
right,
That when you know it's real. It's not. I'm not showing out. I'm not putting on a
yeah,
show for anybody. I want you to know this is exactly what we're talking about here. So
yeah.
yeah, totally
Man,
understand that.
one of the interesting things, man, about the whole, situation is, man, I'm literally preparing her to like leave the nest in the
Yeah,
near future.
yeah,
So it's like, especially when it comes to guys, helping her see some traits, because I can't control her. She's gonna do what she want to do. Hopefully I'll give her the tools that she needs to be successful with selecting somebody. Because man, right now that can make or break you at a young age. The type of company, especially a courtship type thing. I just hope I give her the right tools she need, man.
Well, I mean, the best way to do it is kind of how you're doing it. Example, you're showing it to her. It's one thing to just tell somebody something. It's another thing for them to watch you do it. And when she's watching you
Mhm.
take care of, the house, take care of responsibilities, understanding what it means to budget, to ensure that all the bills are paid, making sure that you're, I don't want to say sacrificing, but you're prioritizing.
Right.
As long as they have their priorities together, it all just kind of flows naturally. Of course, they're going to make mistakes because they have to learn things, but that too puts the trust in them that they can call you for guidance on a particular situation. Because you got some people,
Yeah.
they'll be like, "Look, man, I'm not gonna call my mom. I'm not gonna call my dad because they're in a much worse situation than I'm in. So what are they gonna do? All they can do is tell me how to end up in a much better not better position. They're gonna show me how to how to take
Right. Some
myself
of them they
deeper in
done
the hole.
already. Some of them done already had the light bill in their name since they was 12. So
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
you know,
So that's one thing that I guess that's a whole nother conversation. But ensuring
yeah,
that your kids understand finance, ensuring that they
yeah,
they they understand what I guess money is, understanding credit. Credit is not free money. A lot of people misinterpret that as somebody just gave me something for free. It's not free money. There's a lot of
right.
responsibility that comes along with that, and just ensuring that
Hmm.
they're capable of maintaining themselves. Fending for
Right.
themselves. I guess would be the best word, and that they can survive out in the world. Because one thing I used to tell like young boys when I was mentoring back in Troy is that they don't care about you outside. The faster they can get you out of their face, the faster they can get you out of their way, that's all that's going to
Yep.
happen. So you can't rely on other people to make sure that I guess ensure that you're straight, and that all comes from what you were taught growing up, the foundation that your parents gave you. Did they teach you um, how to be appreciative? Did they teach you the importance of, I guess, knowing that what you have, you earned, and you're not going to
Hmm.
just flaunt over it? It's not something that somebody's just going to give you, just for no reason. Did
Right.
you actually go out and work for it? And trying to think of the correct words to say, because again, it's just kind of flowing. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
that's one of the biggest things. Like I've dated some people that they oh my god, they couldn't tell you what paying a bill was. They couldn't tell you what a bank account was. They couldn't tell you what a credit card was, other than this is something I can go shop with. So
Right.
yeah, they were raised to, you know, not. I want to make sure I say it the correct way. I want to make sure I say it the correct way. They weren't
Come
raised
at
to take care of a house, and not necessarily take care of
right.
a house for a man, but take care of their house, with it being just them. They had no idea how to do that. So when
Yeah.
it was when they actually did go out on their own, you talk about being overwhelmed. Yeah, it was like going out into the ocean and not having a life vest and having no idea how to swim. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
That is a that's it's a scary thing, man. I encounter a lot of grown men
Hmm.
that do not know what it is to, like you said, secure, a home, an apartment, whatever.
Yeah.
Never ever really been out on their own, or um, have to have a roommate. I'm not opposed to roommates. You got goals, you got things that you're trying to accomplish, and it's a part of that process, by all means. But at some point in your life as an adult male, you should have aspirations of having your own, like, and there I had this conversation with another grown man where he was telling me, he was in the conversation, he was telling me how he can't get no place without a roommate. Like he cannot get a place without a roommate. And it wasn't because just the finances, because he
Hmm.
has a job, but the lack of being able to take care of everything on his own.
Yeah.
And it's just like, man, that's a sad place to remain. I ain't hating on nobody that's there,
Yeah.
but to not
Yeah.
want to expand your horizons beyond that, I mean, what's your future look
Yeah.
like, bro? Like
Dude,
long term.
I know some guys, and I have to touch my head on this one because it almost makes my brain hurt. But I know some guys who have, to this day, in their late 20s,
Hmm.
can only move in with women, and that's sad, you know, because for one, you're putting yourself in a situation where, yeah, you're definitely taking advantage of the woman at that point. But two, you're
Hmm.
putting yourself in a situation where, and I want to say this the correct way, but whatever, man. I'm just gonna say it, so it is what it is. I'm not trying to ruffle any feathers,
Keep
but
it raw.
you're you're putting yourself in a situation to where she holds all the cards. It's not
Hmm.
an equal environment. You're not putting yourself in a situation where, unless she was raised in a position that the man leaves the house, or we're in this together. It's not a
Hmm.
situation where this is mine and you have to do what I say.
Yeah.
As long,
Yeah.
hopefully you're not dealing with somebody like that. But I've seen cases, a lot of situations where when they know they hold all the cards, they use them. Every time you turn around, they throw that big joke at you. And you're like, well, dang, man, I can't do anything. But that that's based on decisions,
Right.
choices. Are you going to position yourself? And of course, we're dealing with trust, but once you get married, that's a whole nother ballgame. We're not talking about marriage. This
Hmm.
is outside of marriage.
Because
This is
marriage shouldn't be like that.
it
Right.
should definitely not be like that. But
Right.
when you're just dating and decide to move in together, which a lot of people do nowadays, are
Hmm.
you positioning yourself to where it's equal authority? Everybody has a dog in the fight. We all have skin in the game, as people like to say. So that I can't use any leverage on you any more than you can use any leverage on me. Which it shouldn't be
Yeah.
that way, but we all know how things get when you start bickering, and
Man, when you go
it's
to fighting, it's like all the rules go
yeah,
out the window.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. One thing we learn, especially looking at Dr. Dre is a great example right now with his ex, the way she's coming after him. You know,
Yeah.
when they don't love you no more, or when there's, I want to say vengeance, because you can
Mhm.
tell when a person is out to get you. And we all know that the way you get to most men, not everybody, because this is a general statement here. We all have exceptions to every rule, but the way you get to most men is through their wallet. When you hit them in that pocket,
Mhm.
you really hit them. Which is why, on the ratchet side, women will attack your car before they attack you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. So
Right.
when you're not allowing that type of leverage against you, when you're not going into the situation where you're allowing the other person to hold all the cards. Like, why are you seeking out women that you can go live with, go take advantage of? Like, you have guys, man, she got a really good job, she's a nurse, or she's a lawyer,
Yeah.
or she works at this. Why does that even matter?
Right.
Like, when you can. And I was watching Kevin Samuels YouTube channel. I just stumbled upon him a few weeks ago, and he talks about high value men. High value men couldn't care less about your career. They couldn't care less about your job. They couldn't care less about anything other than your character. You know,
Absolutely.
yeah, because all of those things only matter to people who don't have it.
Right.
People who have
Right.
it, they're looking at, for one, they're not going to even be in a circle. They're not even going to be engulfed for the most part. Again, I'm speaking general.
Right.
There's always exceptions to every rule. But for the most part, those people tend to be around other people who are on those same levels as them. So now we're looking at character.
Mhm.
What you do for a living? Great. Hey, great. I can take care of myself. You make six figures. Guess what? I make six figures too. So what else you
Right.
got? You know, and I have to question those guys. It's like, why are you seeking out these women who are, and this is also too, I keep segueing, but I'm gonna tie it all together,
Uh-huh.
I promise. But also too, this is where that stigma amongst high value women comes in, where they have a resentment towards certain black men because they allow low value men to seek them out and manipulate them and take advantage of them.
Mm.
Because we all know you have those predators. You have those
Right.
types of men who are searching for those high value women. And I say high value not from a self-worth standpoint, because any
Mhm.
person
But
of
they have something
self-worth,
that they can do for them.
exactly, I about to say any person
Right.
of self-worth wouldn't deal with someone who's um characteristically lower than them.
Right.
That's what it means when they say know
In
your
most
worth.
cases, right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right.
So when you have those men, for me, I look at it from both sides of the coin. Those are the types of men who have something to prove. They're real egotistic. Their
Mhm.
ego is telling them, well, I can go get this level of woman, even though I'm not on her
Mhm.
level. I can go get her. And on the reverse end of that, you have those women who go get those low end men because they want to wear the pants. They feel like they can control him, they can manipulate him, the same way men do.
Mhm.
Men
Right.
manipulate certain low end women with their wallet. Well, women do the same thing.
Yeah.
I've seen it with my own eyes. And for some, it's not on purpose. It's just that they don't have, I want to say they don't have the bandwidth, and they
Mhm.
want somebody who's readily available.
Okay.
Yeah, and most
Fill
people,
that little temporary void.
yeah, because most people, like in our situation, you run your own company. You know what I'm saying? You're consulting. You're constantly contract. You have a lot of things going on.
Mhm.
In my situation, I'm running four companies and I'm also consulting, and I have a lot of things going on. We're not readily
Right.
available. So you can't just call us up. You can't just shoot us a text message unless you're physically in the house with us. You're not going
Right.
to see us all the time. You're not going to talk to us all the time. You're not going to hear from us all the time. So it makes those who are absolutely in need, they don't want to deal with us
Right,
because, like you said, we're not filling that void of I need attention when I want it, and if you can't give it to me, why I can't have you. So they go get the ones who are readily available, and 9 times out of 10, those are the ones who aren't doing anything.
right.
Yeah, they just
Which
sitting
means they're
around.
easily dismissive as well,
Yes,
or
yes,
easily dismissed as well. So yeah,
right. So the problem is that I see is that you're setting yourself up for failure in doing that because of the fact that you're seeking out your own destruction. You know it's
right,
not going to work. You know this person isn't on your level. You know this isn't a person that you can have that intellectual conversation with on the level in which you're at or higher because you purposely sought them out from the low end pool.
right.
Again, generally speaking, um, this isn't a broad stroke for everybody. But at the end of the day, I'm not gonna go to I guess like I said, I'm not going to expect the 18-year-old high school, uh, a girl fresh out of high school, 18 years old, to have a conversation with me about economics,
Right,
on a macro level, because she has no idea what global economics is, you
right.
know? So that,
Yeah,
yeah, same thing. So and I said a whole lot, and now I'm tying it back in. That's where we get into that problem where we have that disconnect, where you have women who are of that high end, high value that resent a lot of black men because of their experiences based on the choices they made.
mhm,
And then you have those black men who need to be held accountable. We all need to be held accountable, both sides of the coin. But you have those black men who they literally, and I hate to say it, but they perpetrate the stereotype. You know,
mhm,
you're making us look bad because of the fact that you're going out purposely seeking, really good black women, but you understand that they're desperate. And I say desperate
right.
not in the sense of they're desperate for things that a man can offer them. They're desperate for attention. They're desperate. They're desperate for someone being available at their beck and call. They need that for
Especially
whatever
in this
reason.
social media age.
Yeah,
Especially in this social
yeah,
media age.
yeah.
Yeah,
So that's
it's
that's
like
that's my take on it, man. I want to get your take on it too, but that's my take. I know
I
I talk a lot, but I want to get your take on it.
I think that I think that a lot of the issues that both we have as men and women, um, they derive from, you know, our childhood, our upbringing, the things that we've been exposed to as we grow up. So if you get a dude that ain't about nothing, that's just used to being, you know what I'm saying, somebody that can manipulate and leech and survive basically off of a young lady or a woman, um, that's something they probably encountered. That's something that they probably saw, or there was something that they didn't see growing up. Same thing with women. Same thing with you know men and women in general. A lot of those issues are seeds that were planted. I even look at my children, and this is what helps me kind of try to stay focused as a man and want to be better. Because man, when I tell you, I got a lot of areas that I need improvement on, and a lot of things that I need to do as far as holding myself accountable. That I'm excited to accept those challenges in this kind of new phase in my life. But you know, uh, it's a lot of stuff that I went through that made me who I am. If I don't address those things, then my behavior ain't gonna change. That dude ain't gonna stop seeking out women like that if he doesn't have somebody that can give him that knowledge, or if he doesn't seek out that knowledge. Let me say that, because you can have it, but if you don't, you know what I'm saying, or you can have the knowledge, but if you don't apply it as well. A lot of times we'll hear things or not hear things by not putting ourselves around those accountability people, like I stated, and it just stunts our growth. And if you ain't growing, you dying. You're gonna stay that same type of individual. You're gonna have that same characteristic trait. So I think that, again, kind of tying it back to the importance of a brotherhood, of a camaraderie, And like you said, being selective with those people that are in that brotherhood and that camaraderie, because you need people that are going to give you the right information, that are going to give you the right type of wisdom. You may not be ready for a certain, a certain type of wisdom from somebody. You may not be at that point. You may need this individual over here to nurture you. But that's another thing, not getting connected with too many people that are going in too many different directions. One thing that I know Apostle Jones often kind of talks to me about, and I can see him doing methodically when he assigns somebody for me to attach to. I'll be like, oh, but I'm talking to such and such. Now, such and such ain't got what you need for what you're going through right now. So yeah, that constant accountability sometimes involves changing your circle up a little bit, but you got to get connected with somebody in order for you to see the type of changes that's going to keep you from being, or the type of person that you've been, or the type of person that you've seen growing up.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, man. One thing about Dr. Jones, he's great at what he does. He's incredible at what he does as far as placing the right people together. So because he can see a particular skill set that you have, a particular talent that you have, or a particular ability, and he can see how it would, mesh perfectly with the next person. And hey, why don't you
Right.
go over and have a conversation with this person? I think they'll really be able to help you out with what you need, what you got going on. So, dude, um, we've been all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah, I
we
know.
all over the place. I like it. I really like that because that's, again, just letting it flow, just allowing it to flow. And I gotta say, it feels good to just kind of let out those expressions. You know what I'm saying? Let out the
Hmm.
way you feel about certain things. Like, look, I'm not a certified anybody other than a computer engineer. You know what I'm saying? I work in IT. That's my thing. That's what I do. But I'm also not stupid. I also have thoughts. I also have opinions on things, and to be able to share those opinions with other people and to get a great feedback, not a yes person and not somebody who's just looking to prove me wrong, but to get actual
Hmm.
feedback. It definitely helps. And all it takes is a conversation. As people say sometimes, all the other person needs is a smile, and it totally
Hmm.
changes their entire day, totally changes their mood. When you're able to have a
Yeah.
conversation, and I see this happen a lot when you're able to just talk to a homeless person. You just go sit down and just let them talk, and they'll
Hmm.
talk about a whole range of things and talk about everything. But by the time that conversation is over, that person feels so great because they were
Right.
able. Somebody actually listened. Somebody actually took in what it is they had to say, and as opposed to just wanting to argue against them about it, they understood, and they gave great feedback. And they allowed them to see possibly another vantage point that they may not have considered. So it works out great. It's a good situation, and that's like I said. That's why I wanted to bring you on when you said that. Do we need to talk? Because I'm like, yeah, we gonna talk, but
Yeah.
let's talk organically and show other people sometimes how these talks go.
Yeah.
We don't always just talk about cars and butt. You know,
Right. Right.
yeah,
Right. There's
like
more to life than that.
yeah. That's not the conversation.
Yeah.
It'll spin down that road every now and again, but for the most part, we talk about real things that we're dealing with, real challenges because we actually are seeking out help.
Hmm.
It's just I just need to vent. How women will say, can you just let me vent for a little bit? Well, we
Right.
vent, but we vent differently. We man vent. So there's a difference
Yeah.
between, yeah, because we're not just, it's not mouth vomit. We actually venting about the things that we have to deal with and the stresses that we have that kind of plague us every day, especially being a black man. People talk
Hmm.
about, and I don't want to become divisive. I don't want it to seem like I'm picking sides. I can only speak as a black man because that's what I am. But
Right.
people talk about, you know, how hard it is for black women in society, and we all understand that. We all understand it, but as a lot of things that people haven't noticed is that black women are celebrated all the time. There's a reason why black women are the most educated group of people in this country. That's not by
Hmm.
accident. And we can go down that whole,
Right,
reasoning behind why they're breaking up, trying to break up the black family and why they're, pitting the woman against the man, all that stuff. That's a whole nother conversation. But
right.
at the end of the day, you know, black women are being promoted a lot. I don't see a lot of celebration going on for us. Actually, I don't see any celebration going on for us. You know,
Yeah.
there's not a black man movement at all.
And you know what?
Outside of a gay movement, but we're not gonna talk about that right now. Um,
Yes. I even, man, I get to the point where I've been able to manage my expectation on that. I mean, I just understand that, you know, just like there's disadvantages, for, we can say, our people, if we're talking about, you know, our culture as a whole. Um, as a man, and I explain this to my daughter too, there's some double standards that are just not gonna go away.
yeah,
As a
yeah.
woman, there's certain things you're gonna be able to get away with. As a man, there's certain things I'm gonna be able to get away with. When it come to that whole recognition and us getting that due, I, you know what, like, I think that the systematic issue that you said earlier was a whole another conversation. It has been so well ingrained in black people, in the black family, that that imbalance is going to be there forever. Forever. But I just try to take the personal pride, especially in having daughters. I know that, hey, my way to effectuate, change is to deal with the three black women that God has given me charge over, to let them see and understand the importance, first of all, why you got to choose a good man. And when you get a good man, this is why he's a good man to you. So, have reverence for those qualities, and make sure you continue to edify that black man if he's black, and build him up the way that,
Mhm,
what I'm saying, you need him to be, because that's your security, that's your provider, that's your protector.
mhm.
Take some of that stress that the world is already going to continue to give him. Take some of that off by being that support.
Yeah, and the key word there that I really want to focus on is choice. The man you choose, because that when you put emphasis on that word, it's not necessarily him choosing you, yeah, outside of you choosing him also.
Hmm.
So,
Yep.
it's very important that you're, I want to say, very picky in your choice, because most people they build their mental image, they build their perspective based on their choices, but they don't hold themselves accountable for their choices. When you
Amen.
hear people say, and I'll say guys, you hear guys say, most of these women are hoes, most of them just chasing money. It's like, well, no, most of the ones you chose are just chasing money. Most of the ones you chose are very promiscuous. Most of the ones you chose can't be trusted. You chose them. Now, the better question is, why were you seeking those type of women out? What it is about
Oh,
your
until
vetting
you see them.
process, yeah, that puts you constantly in the the surroundings of these types of women.
Hmm.
Now, once you answer those questions and once you tackle that issue, things change. And the same thing goes for women. You know, when they talk about black men don't protect black women, no, the black men you've been around don't protect black women. Why are you around those types of men? Because you can change that environment.
It's so amazing, man. Any issue that you can name
Mm-hmm.
always ends up pointing right back
It comes right back to you,
to you.
right? Yeah, yeah.
So hearing a lot of stuff that I've heard, we keep talking about, Apostle Dr. Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, he focuses a lot on management of self. And if you're managing yourself right, if you have the right values, if you have the right internal things that you need, like you said, those types of attractions, you're gonna be the eagles or the chickens that's not even going to be a huge issue for you. It's going to be a passing by type situation. Because you're going to encounter all types of people in the world, but a lot of times it's what's inside of us, again, pointing back to us,
Yep.
that attracts certain individuals, certain situations, certain circumstances back to you, man. And I'm saying all of this and talking to myself so heavily because again, in a very, very new new phase of my life right now, I'm evolving, so to speak.
Yeah.
So like all this stuff I'm saying is really me talking to myself,
Yeah.
man. At the end of the day, anything that has ever held me back, like I'm the source.
It
How did I
starts with you.
respond to
Yeah.
those things?
Yeah. Yeah. That's the see, that's why that's the I'm glad you touched on that. That's the reason why we have these conversations. Because and that's what I mean when I say man vent.
Yeah,
Because when men vent, we're honestly we're talking to ourselves the right when you're talking to the right people. You're talking to yourself. You that's
yeah,
when you actually get to put yourself in that situation. You get to step back. They say step outside of yourself. That's when you actually get to truly step outside of yourself and say, what is it? What am I doing? How did I get here? You can actually have that true self-evaluation, but you can only do that when you're having those conversations. You can't do it when you're just sitting in a room full of silence, which don't I'm not going to knock the power of meditation, but you have to be able to also have the conversation so that it's not just you listening to your thoughts, because your thoughts are always going to tell you you're right. But when you actually are explaining something to somebody else and you hear yourself saying it, you're like, all of a sudden you have that epiphany, like, this don't even sound right, you know?
man. Some will say it today. A lot of the
Mm-hmm.
issues that we have ain't spiritual issues; they're psychological issues.
That's right.
It's in your brain, it's in your mind.
That's
What
right.
you think about, what you meditate on, the thoughts that you have,
Mm-hmm.
that's what's gonna manifest.
Yep.
So I am so guilty of this from even, I deal with some PTSD type stuff from my combat time in the military.
Mm-hmm.
But PTSD, depression, stuff like that, man, when I tell you the things that gives those thoughts a breeding ground and a nurturing environment is isolation. We talking about men again needing that camaraderie. Isolation, man, that be the devil's best friend because now it's just you and your thoughts. You know,
Yep.
and yeah, so it's good to be able to have somebody else you can bounce that stuff off of
Mm-hmm.
because psychologically, even just talking about things, life and death is in the power of the tongue.
Yep.
Sometimes just talking about things, you're releasing certain things and activating things. So yeah,
It's
it's
true,
good to be
man.
able to have these combos.
It's true. And the even better part about it is we ain't even gotten deep yet. We
Right.
we we have we haven't even gotten into, you know, um I guess you could say relationships. We haven't, we're still speaking in general, and it's actually helping. That's the best part about it. You don't have to talk about you personally to where you're revealing all of your information. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Just in speaking in general, you can relate things back to what you're dealing with right now. That's the beauty
Hmm.
of it, and that's what I like about it. It's like, hey, we'll talk about naming names and this and that and others going on, but that's the
Yeah.
true private conversation. But
Yeah.
when you're out in public, like when we were at the gym, you know what I'm saying? We pushing some weights, damn near in tears, and it's making you push even harder.
For real, man. For real. I think that was definitely physically beneficial too, if not mentally
That's
too.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
And how do we know things were getting better? Because we slowed down our rotation at the
A
gym.
therapy session.
Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
and it just happened naturally. You know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
it happened naturally. It wasn't a situation like, hey man, I ain't gonna be able to make it today, nothing like that. It just 1 week we going 5 days a week. 2 months later it's 3 days a week. 2 months
But
later, yeah.
I'm glad that you said that
Mm-hmm.
because think another important component just to um your overall wholeness as an individual is
Mm-hmm.
also that maintenance. So I love the fact that, you know what I'm saying, we got in there, we was getting in there on the regular, and then we tapered off. But the thing now that I'm kind of at in my life, and it ain't nothing that we had to continue to do together
Mm-hmm.
necessarily, but even just from a physical standpoint, maintaining that,
Yeah. Yeah.
keeping that maintenance, keeping those conversations, you know what I'm saying, coming out. Because now, as we're tapering off of that, because things are getting better now, quite inevitably, all right, we got other circumstances, other hurdles,
Mm-hmm.
other situations. So I think, continuing the maintenance is definitely going to be key for me moving forward with most things. Consistency is definitely something that I got to quit talking about and wholeheartedly be about in all aspects of my life. So yeah, we got to keep
Yeah.
maintaining it, bro.
Well,